Growing a business is hard, but it does not have to be. Once a week, we take a break from the hustle and bustle in business to talk about innovations and what's new in the C suite. This is the Fractional C-Suite Retreat. This retreat is sponsored by your CMO, helping organizations grow with better marketing strategy.
Hello and welcome to the Fractional C-Suite Retreat podcast. I'm today's episode's host. I'm Dave Blanchard with your CMO, and I'm joined here today by Sal D'Auria. He's the CEO of UBX Systems. Welcome, Sal. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off a little bit with you telling us a little bit about UBX Systems, what it is you do, and how you contribute to the betterment of the world.
Okay. Good questions there. So UBX is a smart building system company. Our solutions monitor, manage, and optimize the performance of commercial buildings. And they collect a lot of data, which is key to our strategy. People may not realize that commercial buildings use a tremendous amount of energy. Somewhere around 45% of all the energy used is used by commercial buildings. We're very much focused on the commercial buildings that are less than 50,000 square feet. Those buildings count about 5 million buildings in the United States. And so, again, relative to the betterment of the world, our systems will save a significant amount of energy on those buildings, make them more comfortable, and make them smarter. And we think that's an important thing.
Great. So what inspired you to go after this opportunity?
Well, number one, I call this sort of a double green effect here, right? It's something that is really good for the environment, and it also represents a tremendously large opportunity. If you look at these 5 million buildings and you think about the systems that they could incorporate, this is a $100 billion market opportunity. That's just those 50,000 square foot buildings and lower. So saving a lot of energy in a big market space is something that I think is a great focus point for companies.
And it's green for you. It's also green in terms of money for either the building owner or the building tenant, who's their utility bill is going to go down, and so it's green in that sense as well, right?
It's green in a number of ways, but that's right. There are a number of value propositions here for both the building owner and also the tenant that may be paying the utility bill. In addition to saving the the energy, the BTUs, the kilowatt hours. Again, it's also saving there's the dollars associated with that. And in addition to that, it's also allowing the systems that run the equipment, the HVAC system as an example, to run more efficiently and to last longer, so to have a longer life. So there's another piece of the green equation there.
Okay, great. So before we get a little bit more into the company, let's talk a little bit about you. So how would you describe your leadership style, and how has it evolved in the course of your career?
That's a really good question. My view is the most important thing that a CEO can do beyond setting the vision and making sure there's the right focus there, which we can talk about later, is to hire great people, and that's just so important. And that includes the executive staff, and to set the tone that we want to have the best people, and to have a culture that supports people in a way where it's a great place to work, great place to be contributing. It's always been my view that number one is hiring great people, but then giving them the room to do the great things that they're capable of doing. And that's a really important element of long-term success and short-term success, of course.
Right. Absolutely. So what are some challenges you faced as a CEO, and what are some of the lessons you've learned in that role?
Well, there's I've been a CEO of a technology company for over 20 years, and multiple companies, and there's lots of things that I've done wrong, and lots of things that I've learned from doing wrong. Right, so that's always a big thing. I think that one of the ways I look at it is that problems are typically connected with opportunities. And maybe that's a very positive view of things. And I think about the business, the UBX business in particular, and think about it. Well, how does that impact things? Again, you see this is tremendously large market, right? This $100 billion market with these 50,000 square foot and smaller commercial buildings. And the interesting thing and the interesting problem opportunity is that 85% of those buildings have no building automation control system. 85%.
So they just have a thermostat on the wall, and
if they're lucky, they have a thermostat on the wall. And actually, the numbers are actually quite sad. Of course, they make for a big opportunity. 3 to 5% of those buildings have smart thermostats. The rest, if they have a thermostat, it's a pretty old-fashioned thermostat. And and we look at this and say, okay, well, why have? I think this is really important for CEOs, for companies to be successful. To say, okay, if that's a big market, why haven't others cracked that market? Why hasn't that happened? I think that's a really fundamental thing to do. Because it sets your basic strategy, right? We're going after this space. What do we need to do to succeed there that other people haven't done? And like a lot of things, in my opinion, in business, is that it's almost an engineering problem. Dave, I know you're an engineer as well, and about taking a problem and breaking it down into smaller pieces and solving those pieces. And that's one of the things that we need to do every day, right? To say, okay, there's the opportunity, there's the problem. In our case, looking at this market, we talk to customers, which is again is a very important part of the success strategy. We talk to them about, okay, why haven't you purchased any building automation, anything to help make this more efficient? And we listened carefully, and there was a lot of similarity in the answers. The things came back and they said, well, any building automation is too complicated, too expensive. We can't afford it. Okay, let's dig further down on that, right? You find out that they not only they have to spend a lot of money to do it in traditional building automation systems, but they also need to involve a lot of different players. They need to get electrician, so they need to get control wire people. They need to get programmers. They need to get the security people from the IT department involved. They need to get someone to program things, to make the visualizations and gain the insights, et cetera, and a bunch more things. We dissected that and said, well, we can solve all those problems. Our solution is wireless relative to communications in the building. It's battery powered. We've already written the software. It's basically a turnkey solution, so you don't have to program it. And from a security standpoint, we have some inherent security in the way that we've done things. It doesn't touch your network that you have today, your Wi-Fi network in the building, and it's all automated.
Hmm.
So
So you
basically,
systematically removed all the barriers that they mentioned, and that's really key. I love that you said that because it's almost too simple, but it's something that a lot of people don't do is they don't talk to customers and just ask them, what's getting in the way or what challenges do you have? And then once you've gotten that insight, then you take it upon yourself to solve those challenges on behalf of the customer. That's just a brilliant way to innovate, really.
it's the only way, Dave. It's and it's a continuous process.
Yep.
It's based, and you continue to refine the understanding of the customer, and the customers, their needs evolve over time a little bit. Things change a bit, but one should never get tired of talking to customers and capturing the information and disseminating that information amongst the team so that everybody on the team understands what we need to do and why.
Mm.
Right.
You were mentioning when we were talking the other day about in the discipline that you've put into your team has put into capturing information in the CRM and the customer data. Is that something you're able to sort of leverage? Because your salespeople are talking to customers all the time. That's true in any business. But what I've seen a lot of times is that it's never really captured in a way that you can extract insight out of it.
Yeah, it's so important, and I'm very glad to say that I have a team that has embraced the culture of capturing that information as a natural part of doing business, as a natural part of the culture, and it's not easy to do that and to instill that, but I believe that I have an exceptional team in that regard, that they are able to capture that information and share it with the rest of the team as one is developing the products and all of these things, right? So the again, if you just take that thread I talked about earlier, this opportunity, why hasn't someone else cracked the opportunity? How can we crack the opportunity? Dissecting it into these pieces, and relating that again on a continuous basis to the customer's needs, and having that manifest itself in a solution set, a product roadmap, and all of those things. It's fundamental. It has to be integrated. And if you don't talk to the customers, well, and if you don't, I should restate that, if you don't listen to the customers, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, it's quite a natural tendency with salespeople and even marketing people talking to customers, right? Of course, salespeople are on the front line. They're talking to them all day long. They need to be good listeners.
Yeah.
In addition to, we think the sales process is, yeah, I'm talking, I'm selling you.
Yeah.
But the successful companies are those that have big ears and
I've heard
listen
it said.
carefully.
I've heard it said, and I like this quote. It's if you're talking, you're not selling.
I've heard that, and it's it's not easy. I can tell you that sometimes I need to tell myself, like, just listen some more, some more, and that's a very healthy thing. It's a very healthy thing, and I think so what we've talked about so far is a piece of being successful, and the piece that we've talked about so far is saying, okay, what's the opportunity? How do we know what the opportunities, and what product do we need to address that opportunity? And that's certainly fundamental. But the other lesson that I've learned, and I talked to a lot of people about this, is that It's great having the right product. Again, not easy. But if you don't have the right go-to-market strategy, you're not going to be successful.
No one knows about it. Yeah.
No one knows about it. It's like, great. Now you've got this great product that addresses the needs of the market. How do you get to that market?
And you've done some innovative things there too. I mean, you've taken the HVAC industry has been around, which is, we haven't mentioned HVAC here before today, but that's the larger industry which you play in, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. But it's been around a long, long, long time. But you found a way to do things differently.
We are implementing a playbook that we think is, well, it's beginning to be quite successful, but most importantly, it's scalable, right? Right. It's our strategy, going back to the opportunity, an underserved market, right? 85% of these buildings have nothing, right? That's a big market. So underserved. Relative to go to market, we have a untapped channel to get to them. One of the things that CEOs, I mean, especially startups. Okay, I got the product. Now, how do I get it to the market? It's like, oh, I'll hire a bunch of sales guys. Well, hiring a bunch of sales guys to go after 5 million buildings is a pretty tough,
pretty inefficient,
pretty inefficient. So you go back to say, okay, well, how do we get to them? And you look at the ecosystem. We say, okay, well, who talks to those customers you want to get to today? It turns out that the HVAC contractors talk to them every day and have the relationships with them. Right? Okay, let's go talk to them. Let's go talk to the HVAC contractors and say, HVAC contractors, how come you haven't sold these kinds of products to, how come you haven't sold controls products? And they go, well, I don't sell control stuff because it's too complicated. It's too blah, blah, blah. I need too many people to do it. But I talk to these customers every day, right? And so, okay, let's dissect that and bring to them the product that we've developed and say, okay, here's what we do different. And we do something fundamentally different, which is that we make this absolutely brain dead easy. And our whole system can be done with one person, not 5 specialists. We've had contractors and worked with contractors that I don't do controls. Then they see what we're doing and they say, I can do that. And back to the listening, one of the things I've heard time and time again is, I don't want to do controls because I have people, I have to hire all these other people. They make more money than I do, and I get the problem calls. Right? So, we need to change that equation. Right? We need to change that equation, and that's what we've done by having a solution that is disruptively easy to install. And that it brings a value proposition to all of the people downstream. Every link in the chain there's a value proposition to get to the next one.
Yeah, you were telling me the other day, it takes, you could start in the morning and by the afternoon have a system up and running and reporting data and running the building, and which, if you I don't know what that contrasts you to the normal, but I think, it's dramatic. It's a dramatically difference. And I think that's another important part of your success is that, customers really need a dramatic difference, a dramatic improvement, not just a little incremental, a little bit better, a little bit cheaper, a little bit faster. it's got to just blow them away in terms of well, this is something that's new. Um,
Absolutely right. I think I think dissect what you just said there a little bit. It needs to be dramatically better, right? Just, and you can have a product that's 10% better, 20% better. That's not disruptive, right? How do you disrupt things? How do you do that? And you again, it goes back to taking this bigger picture view and listening to actually what happens, because there's a product, someone installs it, right? So in the traditional building automation system, there may be, again, 5 different professionals involved in the installation process. Every one of them is making some money. Every one of them is taking some time. Every one of them has to be coordinated in order to get the project done. What we've done is, you don't need to talk to the IT department. It doesn't touch the network there. It's a whole different network, right? You don't need the programmers. The programming's already done. You don't need someone to pull control wires. You don't need someone to hook up electricity, because it's all battery powered and wireless, etc. You're right. So that's where disruption happens, not just from making a markedly better product and manufacturing at a lower cost, but think about all of the pieces that go into the equation on how it gets to the customer and the people involved. So by again addressing the installation, we've had installations, 7-story building, multiple 50 sensors in the building. Walk into the building at 8 in the morning, done at 10:30 in the morning, collecting data immediately. So before lunch. Contrast that with the idea of someone pulling wires and doing all this other stuff, and then literally taking weeks.
Yeah, because everybody's got to be scheduled. It's like the wire guy, and then the other, and then the next. Everybody's. It's like everybody's got to wait for the other guy to do his part and then get scheduled, and then if there's delays, there's delays.
Who doesn't show up that day?
Yeah.
Who's not there on that to do their part, so everyone else goes home. We had a installation in a building last week that my VP of sales and marketing, he went out because he wanted to see this building. It was a 170,000 square foot building, bigger than some of what you'd normally do, but our system would work in that. He did a lot of products were installed by himself, and he was still done before a day was out.
That's pretty good if a sales and marketing guy can do it. That's got to be easy. It's
like I go back to what I said earlier. You hire great people, and they can do great things.
So this is really great. I mean, you've talked about how you first of all, it sounds like you've created a customer-centric culture, and then you work the engineering problem back from the customer of what's the frustrations that they have, and how do I solve all the different aspects of that. What other partnerships or key strategies have contributed to your success?
Well, we always like to make friends, right? So we like to work with good people that can help each other in various ways. We make friends through the chain there, where part of that listening to people, it's listening to end customers, it's listening to the contractors that are the property owners, the people and the contractors in the middle, but also the distributors that give supply the contractors there. So listening to all of them and making sure that we have the value propositions for all of them, again, through the whole chain, to look at the ecosystem. One of the things I always like to do in my companies is to draw an ecosystem map, which says, here's where we are, and we have these products. We want to get to these people. Who influences that all through the way here? And it sounds really simple, I would encourage every CEO to do it and review it on a regular basis. And I bet you'd be surprised at the things that you come up with.
And you learn coming through that,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it for a minute. It's part of our strategy. We haven't executed all of this yet, but we say, okay, we need to get to these HVAC contractors. How do we get to them efficiently? Who else do they work with? The end customers, the building people. Who else sells to them and has relationships with them? Right. So it's all about leveraging the various relationships and in a win-win way, and doing that through the entire ecosystem.
I want to go back to what you said a little bit earlier about the importance of gathering customer data and then sharing it. Is there any sort of practical way you found or that you deploy? Do you have a weekly sales meeting? You publish notes? What's the practical thing you do as a practice on a week to week, week in, week out, month in, month out that pulls that customer information and shares it with the broader team?
Yeah, that's a great question. It comes back again to starting with the collection, but having the collection in a tool that is used broadly across the organization, right?
So everybody can access different views.
Everyone can access it. It's drawn upon for discussions on the product roadmap. I'm very excited about some of the new tools that are surfacing relative to large language models and being able to look through that information and bring out more of the details or summarize those things. But we in our company, we do once a week. We have my staff. We have a meeting focused on products. We talk about the progress on the roadmap. Later in the week, we have a customer pipeline meeting where we talk through that, and in that we reference some of the CRM tools that we have. We look at the various things there. The product people are they're in the sales call. The sales call, on the product call. So it's this cross-functional thing, and that's important. And we also share the same thing with everybody in the company in a monthly meeting, right? So we make sure that everybody knows this is where we're going. These are the things we're doing. These are the things that are happening with the customers, and do our best to the communication. But back to the CRM, and there's lots and lots of vendors out there, if you know of, and the people have used various things, but the culture to capture it once it's there, the culture to disseminate it, and to utilize it, right?
So I imagine when you're in a product roadmap meeting, you're asking questions. That force people or that direct people back to that information and pull that into those conversations.
It's I would say that it's some of the most lively conversations because it sort of separates like, well, I think people want this. It's like, well, that's not what they're saying. So
it's funny. They talk about, AI hallucinating. I think that's been kind of a common, a big pitfall for businesses. We hallucinate about the customers. We think they want this. I think this is my opinion, but really grounding it in actual data gets you to reality a lot quicker, I think.
Yeah. And I think, and one needs to be careful about this. This is another point that people may have very different opinions on. But the idea that you need to listen to customers and what they're telling you they want. But the other thing is you need to also watch customers to see not only what they tell you, but what they actually do. And that to me, that's a very important thing, and a harder thing to do, right? But it's part of the iterative process that one would go through relative to these.
That's a great insight.
to customers. Again, it's you have to think of it as, and I'm a big believer in the what some people call the prototype thing, where well, let's not develop it. Let's either mock it up or do something, show the customer, and before we spend all the money to create this product that someone thinks is the right product.
So you really manage your risk, contain your risk by doing it that way. Yeah.
Well, it's in startup companies, you don't have much room for making mistakes.
Right.
And, time is not something that you have in your favor, right?
Yeah.
There are typically a lot of bigger companies that are more highly resourced, maybe not as efficient internally as a more agile startup company, but that's certainly some realistic resources and things to overcome.
Yeah. And just so the audience knows, where kind of are you in that life cycle? Are you, I know you're sort of in the startup generally, but where would you say you are in the business life cycle?
Yeah, we're, one of the things that we've done, technically our company has been around since the fall. So we're not that older company, except that we're a spin out of a company that's been around a while and has spent many years developing the technology that we are now bringing to market.
Uh-huh.
We spent our time building a foundation, so that we have the partners lined up, the contractor partners lined up, the distributor partners lined up, and we have all the tools to make them successful. We have the training materials and all of those things, and we're just in the process of launching, doing a scale launch here of our solution set to these to our channel, right, to the various folks. We also have, at the same time as we built this foundation, we have built the relationship with our channel partners, which will build more, which will grow and grow and grow. We believe, but we've also developed the infrastructure for using web marketing tools and those things to go directly to customers, with the idea that both of those things feed each other, right?
Right.
So we have those things are now in place. We're kind of in a big launch cycle right now.
Yep.
And but at the same time, we've got a roadmap for our phase 2 and phase 3, which are really important to be doing now, because now you're talking to those customers and you can go from there.
Getting real world feedback. Yeah. So let's, as we sort of begin to wrap up here, I want to shift to the future. And I know obviously there's not a lot, I don't want to pry a lot of details, but what are you excited about in terms of what's upcoming or new initiatives or new phases in general terms that you see for the company?
So the thing I'm excited the most about is the vast amount of data that we're collecting. It's a set of data that very few buildings, particularly of these sizes, are collecting.
Uh-huh.
Why am I excited about that? Because the other thing is I'm very excited about machine learning and AI, right? Which are two related but different things, but they both relate to what we're doing. That data will provide insights, actionable insights that our customers will find very valuable. It makes our relationship with those customers stickier. Our model is a SaaS model, right? So we are fundamental part of the model is a subscription. We want to give those customers, we want them excited about extending their subscription. That data is key to doing that. And the technology around AI and ML, machine learning, is enabling us to take the goodness of that data and make something very valuable about it. Very, very valuable. I mean, we're turning, gold ore into fancy jewelry here, right? So it's a
Well,
big
and then
deal. So I'm very excited about that because it's all
yeah.
about the future.
Yeah. Well, and once you start feeding that stream of data into customers where they're utilizing it every day, and they're seeing the efficiencies that come from that, they'll never want to stop. It's not, you're not going to say, well, now cut off my stream. I'll go back to the way I used to do things. So,
Well, just to be clear, our solution today, we believe will save people 15 to 20% on their energy right away. Things in our roadmap will add to that, and we believe that we can save 30, 40 plus percent.
yeah.
In addition to doing some other things that make the life of that facility manager and that owner and all of the people involved that much more interested. So.
Right.
But yeah, no, we have a lot of exciting things and that's and we see a tremendous future. We're in the process of raising some more money to fund our vision, and that's another dimension that one can't forget about.
Right. So if you were to kind of look back to talk to your younger self, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self that they would he would be able to benefit from?
Yeah, there's so many things. I think relative to a startup, you have to move quickly, and because everyone says that, you have to really do it. But the path you take, I think, and this is it's something that I think really makes a difference, is that you need to focus on your plan, your goals, your objective, but you can't be myopic. So you focus, but maintain peripheral vision, because the world is changing so quickly. I mean, just think about the last even couple of months, tariffs and all these different things.
Yeah.
If you don't know about that, if you're not watching and think about the dimensions of all the things going around you, you may not be as successful as you like. So focus, but have that make sure that you have that peripheral vision as well.
That's a great analogy. I love that. So just to wrap up here, if somebody listening to this wants to know more about UBX Systems or more about you, how would they go about connecting?
Well, UBX Systems is ubxsystems.com is the website. People want to contact me directly. I'm sal@ubxsystems.com. People are welcome. Other CEOs are welcome to call, and I like to chat with other CEOs and compare notes and all of those sort of things.
Right.
But again, that's sal at ubxsystems.com, and our website, ubxsystems.com.
Right. Sal, thank you so much for being here today, spending time with us, sharing your insights that are contributing to your success. There's no question that people listening to this can gain some real great wisdom that they can utilize out of it. So I appreciate you spending the time with us here today. Thank you so much.
It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap. There's another successful episode of the Fractional C-Suite Retreat. See our show notes and more episodes at fractionalcsuiteretreat.com. This podcast is sponsored by your CMO, helping organizations grow, save time and money with better marketing strategy and fractional execution. Visit them at yorcmo.com, yourcmo.com. Spelled wrong on purpose.